But that's just what the experiment was, you know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that it's this world of Web 2.0 and how we communicate online and how we create work online has been really interesting in this for me, because I wasn't as involved with it until this project. And then, of course, through Twitter, email, Blogger, Facebook, this kind of other world of making films, community filmmaking, kind of setting up productions globally, you know, just this endless possibility for independent filmmakers like me, who perhaps can't get funding, can't get money together, can go down a different avenue and make different kinds of films and still be creative and do it all for free, because like the internet, you pay for your broadband connection or whatever, and everything else is accessible, even to the point of raising money, like websites like Kickstarter or stuff like that, where you can kind of, you know, ask people, you know, philanthropists around the world to kind of donate money to help this film get made. So it's opened up a whole other kind of avenue of filmmaking for, you know, independent filmmakers that didn't exist a few years ago. Like when I started making films, that wasn't really an option. It wasn't really there.
Yeah, not only did you connect all these filmmakers that would not otherwise be connected, but, you know, through Kickstarter and other sites in order to kind of raise money. Like the weird thing is, like all these filmmakers made their pieces and sent them to Frank, so you really outsourced the cost of the filmmaking, with the exception of all the editing and the music and all that sort of stuff. And then for promotions, go back to the public and crowdsource some money to get together some marketing budget and stuff like that. What's interesting to me is that you've got like young girl, like that young girl who filmed one of those last pieces that got in contact with you, and then you've got someone like that, and then you've got Zach Helm, who wrote Stranger Than Fiction and was nominated for an Academy Award.
Yeah.
Did you know any of those people, or was that also just a
No, I probably knew about maybe 10% of the filmmakers I'd met at festivals, or colleagues, or people I just knew personally. Good few through you, obviously. But the rest were just kind of like people I'd never met before. And as you say, it was a diverse range. It's from like amateur filmmakers, non-filmmakers, students, 19-year-old students, all the way up to industry professionals and people who've been doing it for 30 years.
And no nudity. No one said any nudity yet.
Well, the from Australia.
Oh, the guy in bed, like side by side.
That was a shock when I saw
count.
that. Really? Do I have to
He doesn't count. He doesn't count. Do you have any other questions?
Is there a reason why Africa was not included?
Oh, that's a good question.
I actually had two filmmakers from Africa, and I really wanted to get Africa. Like I was sending press releases to people there and whatever websites I could get to festivals. I'd played at festivals in Kenya. Nobody was getting back to me. Eventually, the first clip you saw was in Los Angeles with the balloons. That filmmaker had connections in Africa, and he was trying really hard. But they were in the middle of shooting a documentary in the middle of nowhere, and we just couldn't get through to them at the last minute. What I was thinking of doing next was, I don't know if it's feasible at all, was a thing called 140 Nation, where I set up a producer to do what I did around the world in each country. So you'd have 140 USA, 140 Africa, and try and, you know, get somebody willing to spend a year or maybe 6 months to try and organise it a little bit better, teach them what I learned on this, and then just have a film per country.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 5 continents represented in this, so maybe start with continents and then...
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, this question just said...
You were talking about constraints. What were the rules?
What were the rules?
Besides the time and the date?
There weren't really... I left it really open. I think if I was doing it again, I'd probably put a few rules in. Well, like, you could see the sound is kind of up and down. So, and then obviously the quality of different clips. I basically said, like, the theme of it was connection, and that was the most important thing. And I wasn't going to tell people that your connection was less important than someone else's because you can't afford a big camera. So people were shooting on I think someone's shot on a cell phone. There's a couple of the little flip cameras, handy cams, and all the way up to a Red. And some people shot on 16mm as well. So I just left it open because I think what was more important than the quality was the theme, the connection. But then again, when I got all the clips in and I had to do all the converting and all the sound mixing and all the kind of, then it became really complicated. So I think I'd probably for my own sanity, throw a few more rules in the next time.
Yeah. Yes, Leslie.
Great, yeah. I know the films, you have Twitter, the company Twitter, have they seen the film? Have they had
No,
interest
no.
in the film, or are you connecting with them?
No, not at all, really. I got in touch with them at the start to ask permission and make sure I wasn't breaking any copyright rules. They just said, "Sounds great, do it." And then that was it, really. So I haven't really been in touch with them at all.
Yeah, now that the film started to get some press, got the mention in Variety yesterday, and there's a few, people that are here talking to Frank about the film. We do have someone with a connection to Twitter, and we're trying to make that into a more legitimate connection as opposed to just this kind of put in a phone call or an email. But because we've talked about it to a lot of people, and everyone's interested in the concept of the film and how it, because that's really, the beauty of it is kind of what it did. As a kid, I was really into these books, A Day in the Life of America, where they'd do like a full day and people would shoot photography all over the country. And that's kind of what this is in a Web 2.0 world, is a snapshot of the world at
But
this
that's the
moment.
interesting thing about Twitter, though, is it's kind of taken on this other life that I don't think the guys who did it even thought would happen. And that now it's become a tool. So it's almost like it's not so much you're being involved with a company, or you're taking on their kind of their name, I guess. Okay, because it helps a little, but it's become this tool of creativity,
But that's the interesting thing too, is because we use that sort of source to make the movie and to get the movie made, we also went to that source to get funding for various things. Like we wanted to fly Frank out, and none of us have any money, so it's like, oh cool, well, we'll just go back to the filmmakers and say, okay, if even 20 of the filmmakers or 30 of the filmmakers can chip in $20 for all of the work that has happened or whatever, we can fly Frank out. So everyone just started like PayPaling and Kickstartering funds over just to fly Frank out. So
and
his
then the
wife
volcano erupted.
And then the volcano erupted. So it was pretty.
Yeah, the fates were against me in getting out here. So.
Yeah. Another question, Dan?
Frank, was there a particular clip that resonated with you?
Frank, was there a particular clip that resonated?
There were a few that came in that were surprises. The first one I got was that evening, which was great, which was the woman peeling the apple, which I really liked. It's much longer than that. It's the full 140 seconds. But it reminded me right away of my grandmother, who, for some reason, always seemed to be peeling apples. Or potatoes, So, yeah, that one kind of really struck me straight away, just because it had such a connection. But the quality of the clips coming in as well surprised me. I was thrilled, like with a lot of them, And then my own one as well obviously has a strong connection for me, because mine's the one of the woman blowing with the grass and the two dogs. That's my wife and my dad, and that particular clip was filmed. They're sitting on a log. Where I chose that log because it was my dad and my uncle went out there. My uncle was dying of cancer, and they went out there for the last walk and sat on that log. My dad told me, he said, while he was sitting there, he was just kind of looking. I said, I wish I could die now, because he knew there was this long months of pain coming. So that place had a huge connection for our family. It's also a place we always walk the dogs. It was Father's Day, so I went out with my father, and in the clip, my wife